Have you ever been the responsible one? The one who stayed late at the office while others left early? The one who saved money while others spent freely? The one who held the family together while another sibling chased their own dreams? The one who followed the rules? Who did the right thing? Day after day, year after year, with little fanfare and even less reward. And have you ever, in a quiet, honest moment, felt a flash of hot, righteous anger when the reckless one, the one who broke the rules, who ran away, who squandered their chances, was not only rescued, but celebrated? If you have felt that sting of injustice, that bitter taste of being taken for granted, then you are the protagonist of one of Jesus's most famous parables. For centuries, we have called it the parable of the Prodigal Son. But this is a profound misreading. The story is not about one lost son. It is about two. And it is the story of the second lost son, the one who never left home. That is perhaps the most psychologically astute, the most uncomfortable, and the most tragically relevant for so many of us today. This is a deconstruction of that story. And it is a defense of its most misunderstood character, the elder brother, the patron saint of the dutiful, the responsible, and the deeply resentful. Let's set the scene as told in the Gospel of Luke. A father has two sons. The younger son demands his inheritance early, an act of profound disrespect, essentially saying, "Father, I wish you were dead." He takes the money, goes to a far country, and as the text says, squanders his property in reckless living. When a famine hits, he is left destitute, feeding pigs and dreaming of the food his father's servants eat. He hits rock bottom, comes to himself, and rehearses an apology speech, hoping for a position as a hired hand. He journeys home, and while he is still a long way off, his father sees him, is filled with compassion, and runs to him. There is no lecture. There is no probation. There is only an embrace, a ring, a robe, and the command to kill the fattened calf for a massive celebration. This is where our familiar story usually ends, with a heartwarming image of grace. But this is precisely where the real psychological drama begins. The elder son was out in the field, working as he always was. As he approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He calls a servant who explains the situation. "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound." And the text says, "But he was angry and refused to go in." Let us pause here and honor this anger. Let us not immediately dismiss it as petty jealousy. Let us build a case for the elder brother. For his anger is not just emotional, it is profoundly logical. Imagine his internal monologue, the story he is telling himself, which he will soon voice to his father. His argument has three parts. First, the argument from loyalty. "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders." The key word here is slaving. He doesn't see himself as a son in a loving relationship. He sees himself as an employee in a transactional one. He has performed his duties. He has followed the rules. He has sacrificed his own desires for the good of the family farm. He has been the bedrock of stability. Second, the argument from neglect. "Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends." This is the cry of the unappreciated heart. My loyalty, my daily grind, has become invisible. You take my obedience for granted. The dramatic failure of my brother earns a feast, while my quiet faithfulness earns nothing, not even a small recognition. This is a deeply human and relatable pain. And third, the argument from injustice. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. He cannot even bring himself to say, "My brother." He calls him "this son of yours," distancing himself. He is disgusted by the moral calculus. The wastrel, the hedonist, the one who brought shame upon the family, is being treated not just as an equal, but as a hero. The reward for irresponsibility appears greater than the reward for duty. From a purely human, rational, economic, and even ethical standpoint, the elder brother is completely right. His anger is justified. His sense of injustice is valid. He is the voice of reason and fairness in a situation that feels like madness. And this is why this parable is so brilliant. It acknowledges the complete validity of this worldview. And then it gently, compassionately reveals it to be a prison. The father's response is key. He doesn't yell back. He doesn't dismiss his son's feelings. The text says, his father came out and entreated him. The father leaves the party. He leaves the celebration of the found to go out into the darkness and plead with the lost. He honors his son's pain by meeting him in it. He begins with a term of profound affection, son. He doesn't start with a defense. He starts with a relationship. Then he addresses his son's core misunderstanding. He says, "You are always with me, and all that I have is yours." This is the most important line in the story. It is the diagnosis of the elder brother's tragedy. The father is saying, "You are operating under a false assumption. You think my love is something you have to earn, like a wage. You think the fattened calf is the ultimate prize. You've been living as a slave in my house, trying to earn what was already unconditionally yours from the beginning. All of it. Always." The elder brother had confused obedience with intimacy. He had confused service with sonship. He was so busy trying to be a good employee that he never learned how to be a son. He kept a perfect ledger of his own merits, but he never understood the economy of the heart. And this reveals the story's deepest psychological insight. There are two ways to be lost. The younger son represents the more obvious form of lostness. He sought to find his identity by breaking all the rules, by indulging every desire, by escaping from his family. He was lost in a far country, in rebellion and debauchery. It is a loud, dramatic, and easily recognizable form of being lost. But the elder son represents a quieter, more insidious, and perhaps more dangerous form of lostness. He sought to find his identity by perfectly keeping all the rules. He sought to control his world and his father through his own virtue. He used his morality not as an expression of love, but as a tool for leverage. He wasn't lost in a far country. He was lost in his own backyard. He was lost in his own self-righteousness. Both sons, in their own way, had rejected the father. The younger son through his rebellion, the elder son through his obedience. Both wanted the father's things, the inheritance, the feast, more than they wanted the father himself. The younger son is the archetype of the sinner who knows they are a sinner. The elder brother is the archetype of the sinner who is convinced they are a saint. And in many ways, the second is a more difficult and tragic condition. Why? Because the person who has hit rock bottom knows they need grace. They are empty, and they know it. But the person who believes they have earned their place, who is full of their own virtue, has no room for grace. Grace feels like an insult. It devalues their hard-earned moral currency. It is a threat to their entire identity. This is why the elder brother cannot enter the party. The sound of the music is, to him, the sound of injustice. The joy of the celebration feels like a personal attack. His goodness has not brought him joy. It has made him incapable of celebrating it in others. His virtue has become a prison, a cold, dark room from which he looks out at a feast he cannot bring himself to join. This elder brother syndrome is a profound spiritual and psychological trap, especially for good, responsible, religious people. It is the shadow side of duty and discipline. It is the slow hardening of the heart that happens when we begin to believe that our efforts are what make us worthy. We become scorekeepers. We compare. We resent. And we find ourselves, like the elder brother, standing outside the circle of joy, shivering with our own cold virtue. The parable ends on a cliffhanger. The father makes his appeal. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. For this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. But the text never tells us if the elder brother went in, and that is the genius of the story. The question is left hanging in the air, directed not at the characters, but at us, at every good person who has ever felt the sting of resentment. The question is, can you come in? Can you let go of your ledger of what is fair and what is not? Can you accept a universe that operates not on the principle of merit, but on the scandalous, offensive, and liberating principle of grace? Can you celebrate the restoration of another without feeling that it diminishes your own worth? The final, heartbreaking irony is that the elder brother already had everything he was fighting for. The father's final words are a reminder: all that I have is yours. The reward for his faithfulness was not a party. The reward was the constant, abiding, daily presence of the Father. He had been at the feast all along and never realized it. This ancient story is a mirror. In which son do you see yourself? Perhaps, if we are honest, we have been both at different times in our lives. We have all had our moments in the far country, and we have all had our moments in the field, bitter and resentful. The good news of the parable is that the Father's love is relentless enough to pursue both. He runs to meet the one who is returning from the pigsty, and he leaves the party to plead with the one who is lost in his own righteousness. The invitation is the same to both. Come in. The party has already started. All that is required is that we lay down the things we are clinging to, whether it is the shame of our sins or the pride of our virtues, and simply walk through the open door